For the last 1,000 years, there have been myths about them, legends about them, books, films, and television shows about them. And yet, people still treat them as a superstition. Well, the story we are about to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is a scary one. One that should leave you with hair standing and spine shivering. For the story we are about to tell you is based on true events. Evil creatures, as much as we choose to disbelieve. You know deep down they are out there. Whether they only come out during the night, linger between the woods, or standing right outside your bedroom window, there is always something out there. As Amelia Cranswell found out when she was attacked inside her home, attacked by the monster of Croglan Grange. It was the year 1874. Three young Australian siblings, Amelia, Edward and Michael, rented an old farmhouse. The name, Croglan Grange. The old farmhouse is a one-story building sitting on a hill overlooking an ancient churchyard. The three siblings settled in wonderfully. Amelia was a beautiful 22-year-old with long black hair and a few freckles, who was very popular with the locals. The brothers helped around the farms and often held parties and really enjoyed living in the area. About 1 year later, on a summer's night in 1875, after having a lovely day out in the sun, Amelia Cranswell didn't feel too well and retreated to her bedroom for an early night's sleep. Moonlight bathed Croglan Grange this night, and it was so warm that Amelia left open the shutters on her ground floor bedroom. As Amelia was about to get into her bed, she suddenly saw two flashing lights near the churchyard. She moved closer to the window, and in seconds these lights had moved from the churchyard into the garden. And there looked to be a figure behind these lights, but she couldn't make it out. She quickly closed the window and locked the bedroom door. Thinking it was probably a sheep, she tried to go back to sleep. Amelia's spine began to shiver. She knew whatever this thing was now right outside her bedroom window. She slowly began to turn her head towards the window. Two bulging yellow eyes were staring right into hers. Around these eyes was an old wrinkled grey face with a cunning smile and two huge ragged teeth gleaming back at her. Amelia was filled with so much fear she couldn't let a sound out. A long bony finger was scratching at a window pane. Amelia quickly jumped out of bed and picked up the key to unlock the door. Her hands were so sweaty that she couldn't get the little silver key into the lock. The key suddenly slips from her hands. Amelia turns to find the window wide open and no one there. What Edward and Michael found was their sister lying on the floor unconscious, with blood oozing from her neck from two bite marks.
Is she going to be okay, Doctor?
Oh yes, I think she'll be fine. I've given her sleeping draught, and you might have to renew the bandage around her neck. This event will have caused her a lot of shock, so I'd recommend taking her for a long vacation.
Oh, that's great, thank you, Doctor. Anywhere you'd recommend?
Recommend?
For a holiday?
Oh well, I've always been a fan of the Swiss mountains myself.
Do you know what could have done this to her, Doctor?
Well, I have to be honest with you. I've never seen anything like this before. I can only presume it was a madman or an escaped monkey from a travelling show.
And so, as soon as Amelia was better, the brothers took her off for a long holiday to the Swiss mountains. But after a few months of Swiss air, Amelia's fondness for the old house brought them all back. They soon settled back into Croglan Grange. However, stories of other girls being attacked and multiple sheep killings made it hard to forget what had happened. And so Edward bought a rifle that he kept by his side every night, but never fired a shot until another moonlight night in March 1876. The next morning, as Amelia was getting treated by the doctor, the brothers gathered some men from the village to search the graveyard. They found nothing at first, until they came across an old tomb. Inside the tomb was a load of vandalized coffins, apart from one. The villagers slowly drew back the lid of the coffin and found a mummified creature with wrinkled skin and walnut-coloured face through age, and in the thin yellow skin of its right leg was a fresh gunshot wound. Sped up by terror, the men quickly built a bonfire in the corner of the graveyard. With trembling hands, they lifted the skeletal creature from the coffin and cast it onto the bonfire. And as the sun rose, the beast howled as it burned to ashes.